In this week's Drive, we hear why Button thinks he can be world champion, get very, very close, but keep going in Belgium, get even closer and stationary in Canada, and see a champion under pressure in Checo. All this and more in this week's Drive. Australian racing driver Mark Webber has announced that he's leaving the Jaguar Grand Prix team for BMW Williams next season. 27-year-old Webber is looking forward to his fourth season in Formula One.
Well, yeah, to be able to be driving for Williams next year is going to be a fantastic opportunity for me, and one which I've been waiting for probably since I come from Australia over to Europe to finally get the chance to hopefully compete at the highest level with a front-running team in Formula One to win races. So we're looking forward to it.
Does he think that Williams will help him need a bigger trophy cabinet?
Well, I hope so. Of course, that's why I'm going there. Second and third is not something which Williams are too happy about, and winning races is what it's all about. And it's like other teams in Formula One, they might focus on other areas, but Williams, even though they're probably going through a little bit of a lean patch at the moment, they are absolute racers, and that's what I'm actually interested in is just the absolute no-nonsense approach to the game, and winning races is what it's all about. So I have to be able to do that.
The dominant Ferrari-Schumacher combination is still the benchmark in Formula One and the target for everyone else on the grid.
There you go, look at that. Michael's still got this amazing amount of motivation towards his work. And yes, for us to beat him is going to be very, very tough. But Ferrari might not be the pace next year. We might have to worry about McLaren, or you don't have to worry about who's. You have to worry about yourself and get the most out of your own, and then out of your own opportunities.
Despite the excitement of the move, Webber must still see out this season at Jaguar before taking his seat at Williams. Meanwhile, enjoying a mid-season break at home, the man that Webber is replacing at Williams, Colombian driver Juan Pablo Montoya, told a news conference in Bogota that he believes he can beat Michael Schumacher.
Schumacher can be beaten. We've beaten him when we have a car like his. We've won races, the team has done it, and I've done it, and we've passed them. The problem is that at this moment, the Ferrari's so superior to the rest of the cars that up to now, it wins 80% of the races. I'm not saying that Schumacher is bad. Schumacher is a very good driver. To win, you have to move it. But he's not a superhero. He's done very good things, but his team has done their part too.
IndyCar champion in '99, he's won the Indy 500 and came third in the Formula One series last year.
Have I messed up? Let's see. I messed up in Australia, yes. I messed up when I went past on the first curve. The team has messed up as well. For example, with tyre pressure during the races in qualifying. Sometimes we have very competitive cars, and at the moment of truth, qualifying, we make a mistake.
Montoya, who's signed to drive with McLaren next year, has not won any races this season, and the last one at Hockenheim in Germany in August 2003.
People are very optimistic at the moment as to what might happen, and it's very difficult to know if it'll be a good decision or a bad one. I made this decision because I think it's the best move that I could have taken for my life and my career. I think it'll make me a better person and a better driver, and I think that I can achieve more than I did with Williams. That's the simple reason why I left.
British F1 driver Jenson Button insists the sport is still exciting. In Germany, Schumacher won his 11th race this season, and Button finished second, despite starting 13th because of an engine change.
Well, starting P13 wasn't perfect for us, and it wasn't planned, but it was a fantastic race for me. From the word go, the car was working very well. It was making it very easy to overtake people, and I think it made the race exciting for myself, but also the whole of Formula One. It was a great race, and to finish P2 and on the podium just next to Michael, it was a pretty special occasion.
How important is it to have exciting races?
I think it was very important. We have had some good races this year. We've also had some, well, there hasn't been so much overtaking, and Michael's just pulled away, which he did in this race. But in this race, there was so much overtaking, some really good battles, and it's the way Formula One should be. There's a lot of talent in Formula One, and I think it really showed this race.
He also countered accusations that the sport was boring because it lacks any real personalities nowadays.
Well, I don't think it's down to me. I think there's some fantastic talents on the grid, and we are personalities. You know, there is limits to what we can say and do because we have so many sponsors and Formula One does. So it's a little bit difficult. You have to be careful what you say. But I think that if you see interviews of drivers and see the way they are, you know, the way they act at the circuits, we're just normal guys just trying to do our job as good as we possibly can. The Ferrari obviously is a fantastic car and Michael's doing a great job, but behind him there is a great gaggle of cars which are really competing for podium finishes, and hopefully we're going to make that step up to challenging Michael soon. So for me, this time in Formula One, you know, this year is a fantastic season, and I don't think you could really wish for that much more.
The very next day, Jenson swapped the English summer for a South African winter. He was in Cape Town to promote a photographic exhibition commissioned by his BAR Honda team. Talking to the media, Button said he believes his first Formula One win and even a World Championship is not far away. He's aiming at claiming second place in this season's Drivers' Championship after closing the gap on Ferrari's Rubens Barrichello.
I wouldn't be in Formula One if I didn't think I could be world champion. And there's many different areas that you need to work on. It's not just the driving or even the technical side. You need to be really part of the team, and you really need to make the team your own. And I think I've done that with BAR. And I think this is a team where I can become world champion, which is my aim.
Button is third in the title with 61 points, 13 behind Barrichello.
Formula One, it's very important to have a good driver, but it's also very important to have a great team, and Ferrari are the best team on the grid at the moment, I think. The best package.
Having the will to take on Ferrari is one thing, but knowing how to do it is quite another.
It's difficult to know how we're going to do it, really, but, you know, we've just got to keep trying, stay determined, and keep improving the way that the car is and the engine. I think as a team we are there. It's just the equipment we still need to improve on. But we're getting there. You know, it's getting closer and closer. And I think in Hockenheim, if I'd started third where I'd qualified, we could have beaten Michael.
Jenson believes cracks are beginning to appear in the Ferrari fortress.
2 races ago, I didn't imagine that I could challenge Rubens in the Ferrari, but there's a good possibility now. You know, the car's running very strong, and Ferrari are making a few mistakes, which is unusual for them. So I'm really looking forward to, or Rubens is anyway, but I'm really looking forward to challenge him in the next few races. I think that we've got a really good chance of getting that second. It'll be tough, you know, with 6 races to go, but that is my aim. But if I'm third, I'll still be pretty happy.
The teams have a break until the Hungarian race in Budapest, the first of the remaining 6 events of the season. Schumacher has won all but one of the year's 12 races so far. The 7th round of the 10-race European Touring Car Championship was held over 2 heats at the Spa-Francorchamps track in Belgium. The race started with a collision in the first corner. Italy's Alessandro Zanardi, his compatriot Fabrizio Giovanardi and Rickard Radel of Sweden all came together. Jörg Müller in BMW number 42 took a narrow lead from his brother Dirk in car 43, but was soon challenged and passed by his teammate at the bus stop corner. But Dirk's lead was short-lived as his brother grabbed the inside line and forced his BMW back into the lead at La Source. However, Dirk wasn't finished and fought back to reclaim the lead at La Combe on lap 3, with championship leader Andy Priaulx in car 11 running third. Rickard Radel was eventually forced to retire thanks to damage sustained in the crash at the start. Further back, Alfa Romeo driver Gabriele Tarquini had a ringside seat as Jordi Genet took third place from Priaulx and had a good long look at the second place too. The race settled down with Dirk leading his brother Jorg Muller, with Genet third and Priaulx fourth. Kurt Mollekens, who caused the first lap pile-up, was awarded a drive-through penalty, dropping the BMW driver from 7th to 18th. With Dirk, Jorg and Genet claiming first, second and third, BMW scored a clean sweep of the podium for Heat 1. Dirk's win moved him into the lead in the championship. At the start of the second race, young Alfa Romeo driver Augusto Farfus in car 3 took and held the lead by holding out Antonio Garcia in car 5. He was forced wide, letting Andy Priaulx into second. Farfus, starting from pole position on the reversed grid thanks to his 8th place finish in race 1, then forced Jorg Muller off track, knocking off the BMW's mirror and allowing his Alfa Romeo teammate Tarquini through into second place and Priaulx into third. Brazilian Farfus was adjudged to be driving in an unsporting fashion and was shown a stop-go penalty board. He continued to block Muller on the long lap round to drive through the pit lane after the German had claimed second from Tarquini. But his tactics, apparently performed to help Tarquini, came to nothing as both the Mullers went past to take a BMW 1-2 lead. Jorg and Dirk holding their positions to the checkered flag as Garcia also got past Tarquini for third. Once Farfus had entered the pits to serve his penalty, Tarquini found himself in the lead briefly until Jorg Muller went past and into the lead again. Farfus eventually served his drive-through penalty. The BMWs reigned supreme, filling 6 of the top 7 positions and extending an already commanding lead in the Constructors' Championship. The Mullers took 18 points apiece from the weekend's 2 races, moving ahead of Priaulx to first and second in the championship. After the race, a less than impressed Jorg Muller slammed Farfus's behaviour.
Things like that shouldn't be in touring car racing. And it's good that they gave him a stop and go, but I hope there's further things coming, because I think we don't want to see that, especially after when he got the stop and go, he slowed us down and tried to get the pack together. This is, shouldn't be in racing.
Seating at the Nürburgring circuit was sold out as 103,000 fans came for a weekend of DTM, or German touring car action, and they were treated to one of the most exciting DTM races of the season. Sparks literally flew from lap 1 in an accident involving 3 Audis. Christian Abt in number 11, his teammate Martin Tomzik in number 6 and Frank Bieler's number 45. Tomzik's race was over almost before it had begun as the damage to his Audi was terminal. Bieler lasted 2 more laps while Abt would finish down in 13th place. Gary Paffett had dominated final qualifying, and it showed as he passed former champion Laurent Aiello after the first pit stop on lap 20. Paffett's fine form in the C-Class AMG Mercedes continued as other front-runners slid into each other and generally banged body panels in the sunshine. Soon after the first round of pit stops, Paffett hit the front and he never really looked like relinquishing the lead. Meanwhile, behind him and Sweden's Matthias Ekström, there was a fierce battle for third place. Defending champ Bernd Schneider's Mercedes finally overtook Marcel Fassler and Christian Albers after a long battle on the 35th of 41 laps, and it signalled the end for Albers. The Dutchman, leading the championship before the race, slid off into pit lane before retiring with mechanical problems just 2 laps later. It was left to an ecstatic Paffett to take a flag-to-flag win from pole position, finishing 2.2 seconds ahead of Ekström, while Schneider completed the top 3. Ekström now leads the standings with 47 points. Albers has 42, while Paffett moves into the top 3 on 35 points. The Englishman would be leading the title if he hadn't lost winner's points when he was disqualified after his car ran out of fuel.
The team did a great job with the car. Got on pole position, and then today from the race I made a great start and got in front at the start. After a couple of laps I had about 6 seconds lead, so it was perfect. And then I got held up in the middle part of the race by one of the Audis, and lost about a second a lap there. And then when I came out again after my second stop, I was behind Aiello, and it took a bit of time to get past him. So when Matthias came out, he was only a couple of seconds behind me. But I wasn't pushing too hard to try and save the tyres for the end, and it worked. I mean, right towards the end, the last few laps, I was managed to pull a little bit away from Matthias again, and it was quite comfortable. But it was a tough race, but I was never really under that much pressure. So
the 7th round of the DTM series takes place at the new Oschersleben track in eastern Germany. The Champ Car race round Vancouver's notoriously crash-prone 1.78-mile circuit saw defending Champ Car title holder Paul Tracy start the 7th of 16 races from pole position. On lap 21, Patrick Carpentier tried to pass Brazilian rookie Alex Sperafico, who was a lap down, when they came together at the end of the pits, knocking them both out. Rodolfo Lavin spun all by himself nearby, trying to avoid the crash. He was a lap down by the time he restarted, and his race ended on lap 66 with a blown engine. His 4th did not finish in 7 races. Up front, Tracy was having no trouble with the competition, but was almost sunk by a problem with his second pit stop. His pit crew chief suspected that there was a malfunction in the refueling rig. While he was 19 seconds ahead of Michel Jourdain, Tracy's team radioed to say that he needed at least a 20-second lead to make a splash and dash stop for fuel and retain the lead. Tracy put in 9 furious laps, brushing a tyre wall at one point, and pitted with a 28-second margin, emerging with more than 6 seconds in hand. Tracy controlled the entire race for his 2nd straight win at Vancouver. Michel Jourdain of Mexico worked his way up from 12th to finish in 2nd place, about 5.5 seconds behind Tracy. The victory was the 28th Champ Car win of his career. Tracy, winless since the series opener on April the 18th, moved into 3rd place in the championship, passing fellow Canadian Carpentier. Series leader Sébastien Bourdais of France finished 5th, retaining a hefty lead in the standings over 2nd-ranked Bruno Junqueira of Brazil, who finished 4th. American rookie AJ Allmendinger posted his first podium finish. Stefan Everts clinched the last 2 of his 7 world titles at the Czech Republic Grand Prix. The Belgian couldn't make it a hat-trick this year, but he might have hoped to increase his lead over Michael Pichon. Denmark's Brian Jorgensen made the best start in race 1 and led the field through the first corners, with Tanil Liuk and Joshua Coppins in close pursuit. Pichon was soon moving up through the field, though, edging past New Zealand's Coppins and into 3rd place. Liuk was quickly caught by Pichon, who then passed Jorgensen for the lead. 7-time MX1 world champion Everts wasn't to be left out of the action, though. The Belgian began to make ground on the leaders after a slow start. Everts overtook Coppins and then caught Liuk on the way to a 2nd-place finish. Pichon would take the race victory, with Everts crossing the finishing line almost 9 seconds later, while Coppins would claim 3rd. Things would be just as fast and furious in the 2nd race, although the whole of the field would manage to stay on 2 wheels through the first corner this time. Coppins took the outside line into the 2nd corner and squeezed past Everts for the race lead, with Pichon fighting to maintain control of his Honda in 3rd place. With the ruts in the course becoming deeper throughout the race, the riders were losing speed through some of the tight corners. Pichon used the situation to his advantage and accelerated past Everts. The defending MX1 champion tried to block Pichon's path to 2nd place, but couldn't match his rival's speed and dropped a place. Leader Coppins would also find Pichon irresistible, and soon after that conceded his 2nd place to Everts. Thus, Pichon claimed his second win of the day and a maximum 50 World Championship points. Everts held on to second place overall, and Pichon trimmed his big lead in the standings by only 6 points. Coppens crossed the line in third and moved into third place in the World Championship ahead of Steve Ramon of Belgium. The difference between the top 3 riders in the championship and the rest of the field was clear to see as the championship moved to the most difficult course on the calendar, Puerto Pajeres in Spain. Championship leader Takahisa Fujinami was the first of the contenders to try and navigate a course to victory. With most of the sections being ridden for the first time, with some already reconfigured after riders deemed them too difficult, it was hard to judge what was a good score. But as he has all season, Fujinami looked to be the pick of the riders. As the day progressed, his total score became more and more impressive. Even indoor world champion Adam Raga couldn't contain the Japanese rider at his home round, as he incurred crucial penalties at important times in the day-long battle. As Raga faltered, the sport's most decorated rider, Dougie Lamkin, had the chance to alter the result. The 7-times world champion found some of the agility he's become famous for on the Spanish hillside, but even he was unable to make an impression on his Japanese rival. Some late errors cost Lamkin second place, but in the end it was another clear victory for the world champion in waiting, Fujinami. The Japanese Honda rider tightened his grip on his first ever Trials World Championship and enjoyed the spoils of victory, safe in the knowledge that his first ever title awaits at the final round of the World Championship in Switzerland in 2 weeks' time. The question is whether Raga can depose Lamkin for second place. Robbie Knievel, son of legendary daredevil Evel Knievel, aimed to jump his motorcycle over 7 vintage military aircraft on the deck of the USS Intrepid, a retired aircraft carrier.
Well, it's a big jump, a tight jump, and I don't have much room to stop. So it's a big high ski ramp, higher than I've ever used to get my speed up, to help me get my speed up. And then there's about 380 feet to my takeoff ramp, and then I'll jump about 200 feet, and then I got 120 feet before I hit the hay bales at about 40 or 50 miles an hour. And I don't want to go off the edge of the Intrepid because it's 7.5 stories high and it's only 9 feet deep.
Robbie has made over 260 jumps, holds 19 world records, and is the only person ever to jump the Grand Canyon. Now docked in the Hudson River alongside the submarine USS Growler and a British Airways Concorde, the aircraft carrier saw action in the Second World War and is home to the Intrepid Sea Air Space Museum. Though the Intrepid has seen much, historically this was surely a first.
When I was a kid, I flipped a mini bike. My dad got rid of my bike. Your dad obviously had a different philosophy. What advice?
Robbie's father, Evel Knievel, is perhaps the most famous daredevil to ever mount a motorcycle. Among other jumps, Evel captivated audiences when he attempted to jump Idaho's Snake River Canyon aboard a rocket-powered Skycycle in 1975. Such attempts made him a household name, and 2 major motion pictures were based on his life. Robbie Knievel's jump coincided with the release of a made-for-TV movie that aired the night after his jump aboard the Intrepid. As we watch Robbie's remarkable jump again and wonder why, so you stay on track and up to speed, make sure you catch next week's Drive.